Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and today we're going to be talking about the Emperor's Children as we get into the life of ancient Rylanor. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below, and thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. Now, spoiler alert, if you are reading the Sons of the Emperor, the Ancient Awaits, or the Fulgrim book. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into 40 facts on Rylanor. Not all of the Space Marines within the ranks of the Traitor Legions followed their Primarchs into damnation. In truth, many of the Terran-born Astartes that fought alongside the Emperor during the early parts of the Great Crusade, operating completely independent of their Primarchs, would remain loyal to the Imperium of Man during the Horus Heresy. One such Space Marine that not only defied the traitorous orders to attack the Imperium, but would also leave a grim mark upon his Primarch's demonic soul forever, was the ancient Rylanor, also known as Rylanor the Unyielding. Rylanor was one of the first generations of the Emperor's Children Legion, those that truly came from the Terran-born stock. Check out our 40 facts on the Loyalist Emperor's Children Legion for more information on that. Rylanor had the singular honor of fighting beside the Emperor of Mankind during the Unification Wars, with the battle honors Roma and Thule etched into his armor. His history was the history of the Third Legion, and he had been the first to carry the Palatine Aquila standard into battle alongside his newfound Primarch. Unfortunately, this great and unrelenting warrior fell to the wounds inflicted to him by the witches of the Eldar. His reward for his incredible honor during his life was internment into a Contemptor pattern dreadnought. From that point forward, Rylanor became the Emperor's Children's Ancient of Rites, presiding over the Third Legion ceremonies of induction aboard the Legion's capital ship, Andronicus, as well as lending his might to the line of battle for many solar decades until the treachery of the War Master Horus tore his legion apart from within. While serving aboard the Andronicus, 10th Captain Sol Tarvitz had discovered something amiss in the changing character of his legion. Though he had the honor of leading the spear tip of the initial Imperial assault upon Isfahan III, he made an unusual request of ancient Rylanor. He expressed his desire to remain aboard the Andronicus to function as Lord Commander Eidolon's senior staff officer. Tarvitz was suspicious of Eidolon's motives, for it was highly irregular for one of Fulgrim's favorite Lord Commanders to not take part in a spear tip. Eidolon normally never passed up the opportunity to flaunt his martial prowess, and for him to appoint another in his stead was completely unheard of. Though an unusual request, Rylanor honored Tarvitz's desire and took the captain's place in the assault. Once the War Master revealed his treacherous intentions and the fighting began, Rylanor soon became the priority target of the traitors, his powers dooming scores of his former battle brothers to their death wherever he fought, while his mere presence became a rallying cry for those loyal Emperor's children battling it out to the bitter end. To the loyalist of Isfahan III, Rylanor was a living icon of the Legion's glory and the perfection and righteousness of his loyalty to the Emperor. Although the traitors reported that Rylanor was destroyed multiple times during the battle, as the damage inflicted onto this powerful dreadnought were tremendous, Rylanor actually survived, and his true fate remained a mystery to his traitorous brothers. After the final orbital bombardment of the planetary capital of Isfahan III, the venerable dreadnought took refuge in the depths of the Preceptor Palace, never to be seen again. As for the traitors, there were some that truly did see him survive, but rumors were spreading that he found some kind of underground hangar. But Rylanor's fate ultimately didn't matter to them, for whatever Rylanor's purpose was, they believed that he was doomed to fail, and that he had been buried beneath thousands of tons of radioactive slag, just like the other loyalists of Isfahan III. Thousands of years later, a trio of heretical Astartes from the Thousand Sons Traitor Legion, Murshid and Akhtar, led by the Chaos Sorcerer Malin Vistario, were dispatched by the Demon Primarch Magnus the Red. They were sent to investigate a distress signal that came from a long-dead world. The message repeated itself over and over, with a simple phrase, ambiguous yet seemed important.
The Ancient awaits.
The investigating Thousand Sons arrived on the dead world and traversed a series of subterranean catacombs until they reached a hangar. Within the hangar was a small spacecraft located at the center. It seemed to have been destroyed by tons of fallen masonry. Beside the craft, Vistario spotted the shattered outline of an ancient Contemptor Dreadnought. Dust and ash lay thick on the adamantium sarcophagus. The colors of its armor were all but obscured. One leg had been sheared from its body, and its left side buckled inward so deeply that the flesh within it was surely dead. Its weapon arms, the Keras pattern assault cannon and a splay-clawed power fist, were aimed skyward, as if the ancient hero of the Legion had sought to vent his fury towards the heavens with his last of its existence. The dreadnought lay upon something half buried in the rock of the cavern floor, its surface burned and unrecognizable. More cables snaked from the small, wrecked spacecraft and were hooked into the object's underside, as well as to the war machine. A strange device was connected to the dreadnought. It appeared to be a monstrous hybrid of a musical instrument and an apparatus of excruciation designed by a sadistic lunatic. Its colors were faded, but once it had been vividly painted and elaborately ornamented, and it still thrummed with energy. As Vistario drew closer and sought for a way to disconnect the device, which was the source of the distress beacon that the Thousand Suns had received, the ancient and not-so-dead dreadnought awakened and wrapped its massive power fist around the body of Brother Mushid. The dreadnought also aimed its mighty assault cannon at Vistario before pausing and declaring that they were not the ones the dreadnought sought. Unaware of the wider events that had occurred during the Horus Heresy, the dreadnought didn't know that the Thousand Suns had fallen to chaos. Realizing this, Vistario quickly played along and told the dreadnought that his legion still endured. But the dreadnought, though barely clinging to life, knew evasion when he heard it. The sorcerer then explained that he would not like the truth. When Vistario inquired as to the identity of the dreadnought, the ancient explained that he was
He who remembers, I am the Ancient of Rites.
Like a thunderbolt, a sudden flash swept through Vistario as he came to the realization that the war-racked dead world above them was none other than Isstvan III, the site where the War Master Horus had cut the Loyalist and had first revealed his allegiance to chaos. The dreadnought was none other than ancient Rylanor. Vistario knew the name. The only mention of the dreadnought's fate came from the most unreliable of narrators, Lucius the Eternal. When Vistario asked Rylanor why he had not escaped, the dreadnought explained that he had attempted to do so, but the shockwave of Isstvan III's death went deeper and lasted longer than any could have foreseen. The roof of the cavern collapsed, trapping him there. Vistario glanced at the strange device hooked to the interior of the wrecked starship and inquired as to the device's purpose. Rylanor explained it was a sonic weapon of some kind. A handful of his former brothers among the Emperor's children had found the hangar and sought to kill him. They failed. Unfortunately, the powers of their weapon crippled him and left him mortally wounded. Vistario deduced that Rylanor had managed to reshape the sonic weapon into a distress beacon of some kind, but the dreadnought chuckled at the ignorance of Vistario's observation, for the device was no mere distress beacon, it was a lure. When Vistario asked what the device was intended to lure, a silken voice answered, "For me, isn't that right, Rylanor?" The device had been modified to draw the demon Primarch Fulgrim back to Isstvan III, and it had worked. Without warning, Fulgrim, now a demon prince of Slaanesh, suddenly appeared from the shadows. Rylanor was horrified and disgusted by his former genesire's appearance. The Primarch was an abomination, even by the standards of warriors who had seen their own father hideously changed by the transformative energies of the warp. The demon Primarch mocked the ancient's damaged appearance. Fulgrim asked the Ancient of Rites why he had summoned him to this long-dead place. The dreadnought managed to push his carapace upright into a sitting position, revealing the object that had laid beneath it for millennia. Humming power cables ran from Rylanor's sarcophagus to an open control panel. Vistario felt his blood chill as he finally understood what it was. Rylanor asked Fulgrim whether it had been millennia since the event of the Isstvan III atrocity. The demon Primarch replied that indeed it had, and mocked Rylanor for all the time that had been wasted and all the glory unearned, all the victories denied, and yet he still served the ranks of the Third Legion. Rylanor simply laughed. The dreadnought explained that if millennia had passed since the Isstvan III atrocity, then he had had millennia to perfect his weapon. It was at that moment that the demon Primarch realized the true nature of the object that the dreadnought's body had obscured, as Rylanor sent an activation pulse of energy to the armed warhead of an unexploded virus bomb. Brother Actar utilized his Raptor occult powers and summoned forth a kin shield in order to contain the explosion, though his abilities to maintain such a barrier were tested to its limits. Enraged, Fulgrim attacked Rylanor, Enhanced by the powers of Slaanesh, the Demon Primarch crushed the Dreadnought's assault cannon and effortlessly ripped the arm from the Dreadnought's body. Fulgrim then used one of his alien blades and cut into the outer case of the Dreadnought's carapace. Reaching within, he breached Rylanor's sarcophagus and ripped out what was left of the Legionnaire's mortally wounded form. Fulgrim offered Rylanor the opportunity to return to the Emperor's Children Legion and accept the gifts of the Dark Prince and walk at his side, clad once again in flesh. He could be anything, as the Demon Primarch had the power to sculpt him into whatever form he desired. In that moment, Vistario could sense Rylanor's horror at this last violation. He was being offered an inescapable destiny where he would become that which he hated most. The Dreadnought did not care whether he lived or died, only that Fulgrim went with him. Rylanor roared with defiance.
Never. All we have left between us is that we will die together. I am Rylanor of the Emperor's Children, ancient of rites, venerable of the Palatine host, and proud servant of the Emperor of mankind, beloved by all. I reject you now and always.
The Thousand Sons were at a loss as to what they should do, to let matters come to a head or intervene on Rylanor's behalf. Vistario felt Fulgrim's infinite malice, his cruel enjoyment of Rylanor's anguish, and the helplessness of the Thousand Sons. The Primarch of the Emperor's Children reveled in his overwhelming pride, a trait that Magnus the Red had more than once told Vistario had been present long before his fall. But more than anything, stronger even than Fulgrim's spite, Vistario felt Rylanor's pride and honor, the unbending core of greatness that had set him against his brother and seen him descend into an obsessive madness trapped beneath the surface of the dead world. Vistario took a measure of Fulgrim, seeing nothing worthy in him. His fellow warriors felt the moment his decision was made. Vistario raised his bolter and fired a mass reactive shell into the back of Brother Aktar's skull. The Raptora's head exploded, and with his death, the psychic force holding back the warhead's detonation ended. Once more, all life was burned away from Isvan III, first by the organic decay created by the Life Eater virus, and then by the planetary ignition that followed all the organic life matter. It took much less time for the Life Eater virus to burn out Isvan III's second death, yet not long after, a shadow emerged from the Undercity. It was a serpentine outline of cinder, held together by a web of demonic energy. Not even the viral toxins created by this ancient science could unmake that which the dark powers of the warp had raised up. The Phoenician's form was already weaving itself anew, but his soul was broken. For no pain, no hurt, no injury could wound such a being as much as the denial of his magnificence. And that simple truth was ancient Rylanor's final victory. And those were 40 facts on Rylanor. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. After reading that story, if you don't want to go out and buy a Contemptor Dreadnought or some type of Space Marine, you are stronger than I am, because that story really does just make you want to play a character like this on the battlefield with that much story and that much just badassery. Rylanor is truly a badass. To have waited 10,000 years, basically in a basement, in buried beneath the ground, to have the person that you hate the most show up and then blow up a bomb in his face, and deny him the ability to turn to chaos. So I'm pretty sure that Fulgrim was like, he's probably going to turn to chaos, and the fact that Rylanor was like, no. My honor is more than you, even though you are my gene sire. This story is one of the best. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have suggestions for any other topics, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do these videos. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. I don't even know where my head's at right now. The story is that good. But thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.